Good afternoon, guys. It's Ashley Goralchik, and I am going to discuss my article critique that I did. The title of my article was Let Our Children Play, the Importance of Play in Early Childhood Education. And the author of this article was Julie Kessel, and she is a teacher for Head Start and preschool programs, and she's currently completing her doctorate degree in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in early childhood education. Basically, how the article started off was she discussed how education has just become, or specifically elementary education has become, what we used to learn in 5th grade, they now learn in 3rd grade. And she talks about how the skills have just kind of been pushed down from the elementary grades, and now they're beginning to filter into preschool classrooms. And so it's taking a lot of the play-based learning out of preschool classrooms. So she talked about that, and then she talked about kind of relating play-based learning to Vygotsky's constructivism theory, and she talks about how important it is for children to kind of build their what they're learning, construct learning, and then she makes reference to Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, the notion that when the child is on the brink of learning, with interaction from a teacher or a facilitator, that child hopefully is able to acquire new knowledge and become successful. So that's pretty much kind of her background information, is just, we're trying to force skills too early in children instead of allowing them to play and be exposed to a play-based learning perspective. And then she talks about the constructivist theory, how play allows children to construct and to build new ideas. The first part, the summary, the whole article is supporting play. Why should we let children play? How do they benefit from allowing play to be prevalent in early childhood classrooms? She talks about intentional teaching. There are times where children should be allowed to just play openly, and then there are other times where the play needs to be more structured and modeled towards specific objectives, and she gives example of those, and I'll get to that in another section. Basically, she talks about also during the ages of 0 to 5, the malleability of the brain and how they're like sponges. The brain grows like to 90% of its overall size during the years of 0 to 5. So her argument is, instead of wasting those years, we need to make sure that we are exposing children to play and discovery-based learning methods so they're able, to learn when the time is optimal. The reason that I chose this article is because when I came out of the elementary classroom in 2010 here in Tupelo, the school district had pretty much done away with all play-based centers. There were no home living centers, no blocks. Our kindergarten classrooms in our public schools, the rooms, they look like they did in 3rd grade. They were extremely structured. There might have been desks for some cooperative learning, but it was very, very skills based, and all the play had been removed. And so I think as an educator, we know the benefits of play, but I wanted to read this article to see, it's always important that we're able to kind of back up our argument with research and methods that have been proven, or best practice methods. So that's why I chose this article. It sounded interesting to me. And how the article pertains to this class, I think, justifying play, in our early childhood classrooms, sometimes we have to make the argument for that. So it's definitely an issue that early childhood education teachers are being faced with. You say they need to be able to play, what do you mean by the term play? And so it relates to that class, to this class in that aspect. It's just a current issue that both educators and policymakers are having to address. Section 4, about how can the information in the article enhance teaching, parenting. This article really spoke to me both as an elementary ed instructor and as a parent. I have children who are now a little bit older, but you know, I always try to make sure that my children, when they come home from school, are able to play. Even my 10 and 12-year-old, I want them out of the, when weather's nice, I want them out of the house. I want them on a bicycle with a fishing pole headed to the neighborhood lake. I want them playing. I do not want them stuck in front of, you know, any type of digital media or technology. I just think there's so much they can learn. In fact, my 8-year-old had a leaf project due 2 weeks ago. And he and I and several of the neighborhood kids went on kind of a scavenger hunt around the neighborhood collecting leaves. And it was so amazing to see them just get outside, and they've built a fort on the side of our house. They have done, you know, I mean, just playing, you know, trying to catch minnows in the ditch down there. I'm sure that's not healthy, but I mean, they just had so much fun being outside and kind of disconnected and just playing, just being kids. And so that kind of reiterated to me the benefit of play. Even though he's 8, you know, it's still very, very important. As a teacher, you know, I think it's important for me to know the position of play in the classroom, especially for some of the early childhood classes that I have been teaching. It's important that I'm able, you know, to justify my argument of why we need to create early childhood classrooms that offer, you know, opportunities for play. My critique of the article, you know, I really agreed pretty much with everything. You know, I think it was very positive. I think she kind of, you know, made her argument. She supported it with research when she talked about the brain. She made reference, the Kessel, the author, she made reference to the brain development, like the actual growth of the cerebellum and the brain, and, you know, how malleable it is in those early years, and how you know, we really need to take advantage of our children kind of being blank sponges when they come to us, in a blank canvas, what we can do, especially through the opportunities that are housed within the play. She, you know, also made mention of 3 types of play that should be implemented in early childhood classrooms. And they were open-ended play, they were purposefully framed play, and then they were modeled play. And they're very different from each other. Open-ended play is just let your kids play, you know, with whatever's in the classroom, whatever's in the centers, whatever materials, manipulatives they have, just let them play. It's not structured, it's not objective specific, just let them play. And then modeled play is where the teacher models something, like they may model with blocks. How do I build a tower with the blocks? Then the children, you know, use those same materials and play. And then the last one is purposefully framed play. And that is where the teacher gives out a specific objective. And then once that objective is given out, there's an intent. The teacher is very intentional with that type of play. It's framed purposefully. So they're given a specific objective, and then the play aligns with that objective. And, you know, there's different times for all kinds of play. You know, I mean, it's not, you don't have to do the certain types of play at certain times. But this article was very, very interesting to me. Like I said, as a teacher, as a parent, I think it is a good article that offers tons of support and research-based practice methods for teachers as well as parents. So I really enjoyed this article, and I hope you kind of gained some understanding of what it was about.